Hello, kia ora, g'day. I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV with your Australia-only forecast for the next week ahead. And we've got plenty of low pressure down here in the Southern Ocean. That is going to affect the southeast corner and southern parts of Australia, including Western Australia, off and on for the rest of the month. We're seeing a number of cold fronts, lots of low pressure south of Australia, and despite one big high that's coming through over the next couple of nights with frosty weather going up into Queensland, there's actually a lack of high pressure coming through over the next week or so. So let's make sense of it at the moment. Obviously all the energy down here in the southeast corner, thunderstorms north of Adelaide into some dry regions to the north. That's some good news. And then we're seeing showers and downpours moving across with some rain obviously is in the mix, where it sets in for longer than a shower does. And we're seeing that pushing in across Victoria and coming into the mountains. So around the Victorian Alps and going into the mountains, we are seeing some snow, including around Tasmania as well in the next few days ahead and into next week, off and on to lesser degrees. Low pressure still spinning off the coast here. That's why there's plenty of thunderstorms out at sea, but only a couple of isolated ones coming in around Victoria, at least when we recorded this. Elsewhere, some showers in Queensland moving towards the coastline, some high cloud on the border and some higher to thicker cloud around the central part of Western Australia as well. So here's the situation. Here is the next big high, and like I say, there's a bit of a lack of high pressure after this moves through. So the high is moving in, and obviously on the eastern side of it, that's where we've got the southwesterly wind. Now that's pushing out to the coastline as a westerly in many places, not overly cold when it's that, but obviously colder air is coming in behind the system. And so with all this low pressure to the south, once the highs move through, it allows those lows, or at least the rain bands they produce, to continue brushing the southern coastline over the next couple of weeks. So we're going to be seeing that more and more. Here is Friday's situation. So the high smack bang over the top of South Australia. It affects all states and territories except for one, Tasmania. You're on the outer edges of that high. You're in the polar airflow, wintry weather, showers, windy sou'westers, maybe gale in exposed areas, and a light bit of snow on the highest of the peaks. There might be a little bit of snow coming in around Victoria as well and towards the A.C.T. It doesn't look like very much. And then you move up to the top or northern part of the country, easterly winds are blowing through and they curve around as a nor'wester for the southern half of Western Australia. That will help lift up your temperatures, but I gotta say, there's a big southerly here from right down towards Antarctica that is coming in to Western Australia. So by Saturday, there is your next cold front. Few thunderstorms, temperature drops again, and some wet weather coming through, maybe as much as 30 millimetres for you. Ahead of the cold front, milder, windier nor'westers. They're starting to push into South Australia and even coming into Tasmania, where the temperature goes up a degree or so as it swings from being a sou'wester into more of a nor'wester. And a couple of showers remain on the western side of the hills and ranges. And up to the north here, those easterlies carry on. Some of the heat pushing here further down into the Kimberley. Now, as we go into Sunday, that heat actually pushes further down and getting close into the Pilbara region. So nice, warm, hot tropical weather, if you like that, at the top of the country at the moment. Not so much for Queensland, maybe a little bit in the far north, but otherwise a few showers, mostly dry weather because you're underneath high pressure. It's that high pressure zone that brings that frost risk into New South Wales and higher elevation areas of Queensland as we go into the weekend, and then it does start to ease a little bit as we go into the start of next week. And certainly that frost risk eases going further down the southern part of Australia because you've got the windy westerlies blowing through, which you'll feel from Sydney southwards, and so that removes the frost risk for most of you. More heavy rain for Tasmania's west coast, not as much in Hobart. And it stays wet in Tasmania and cold on Monday. That cold air does come in and brush the southeast corner of South Australia, and across Victoria. The southern half of Victoria gets that colder airflow, and once more rain and showers and some snow flurries at the higher elevations, and that tapers off by the time you get to north of about the A.C.T. Not a lot going on for much of New South Wales and Queensland or the Northern Territory as we go into the start of next week, but there's plenty of southerlies and showers for the southwest corner of Western Australia, coming in as far inland as Kalgoorlie, getting that southerly and a few showers. By Tuesday, high pressure out here over the Indian Ocean, sending a very narrow strip of high pressure coming into Western Australia and starting to come into South Australia. But with that and the southerly change coming through, we see a bit of convergence, a few downpours, maybe some thunderstorms in that forecast. And you might see a couple of other showers, maybe heavy, coming into New South Wales as well. But that's likely to move around a little bit between now and then, and more polar air around Tassie and coming in around the mountains. Not very wet though, not a huge amount of snow falling or a lot of rain, but a few showers coming through. Most of the wet weather, southern central parts of the country. And by Wednesday of next week, those showers in northern parts of New South Wales spill over a little bit into Queensland. Like I say, it could be a couple of thundery kind of falls in there, otherwise not a lot going on. And then you got westerly winds, colder air around Tasmania. Once more, a chance of some west coast hail showers and a light dusting of snow on the highest of the peaks. And by Thursday of next week, here is the next high pressure zone in the Indian Ocean. It's not very big, but it is pushing in enough to come into about South Australia. But of course, I say of course because as highs roll in, they often bring the colder southerly and they end with the warmer northerly. So as this moves in, pulls in another southwest change into South Australia, more showers for you, especially Port Lincoln over towards Kangaroo Island up to about Adelaide, and down towards sort of coming into Victoria around Mount Gambier area, you're seeing some showers. And then of course the west coast, more of that wintry weather. Gales from the west, maybe severe gale for you by Thursday, and around Bass Strait it's windy. But for many other areas, there is just not a lot going on. You know, big places like Sydney and Brisbane, not much to talk about. In Darwin or even in Cairns, a couple of showers for you, not much else. And out in the Tasman, for Lord Howe Island and further off towards Norfolk Island, a bit of low pressure, some showers carrying on for you. But really, the main feature, the Southern Ocean low pressure systems, the storms down there, which are just brushing Australia. They're not really coming inland that much because we've still got this narrow line of high pressure. Okay, before I go, here is the rainfall for the next 7 days. You'll see most of it building up on the western side of the Alps and the western side of the hills and mountains around Tasmania, and also of course the southwest corner seeing some higher rainfall totals. But the west coast sees the most amount of rain in the next week with 100 millimetres there. Jump over to the east coast, might only be 1 to 5 millimetres. Typical westerly driven weather. You see it again here coming into New South Wales, raining and snowing around the mountains, and then you jump over to the coast, places like Sydney, not seeing much in the way of wet weather, and obviously very dry for many other parts of Australia. Well, before I go, the flight sim flyover this week, Mansfield, Victoria. Population around about 5,500, 300 metres above sea level, and your temperatures are well down. Maximum 7 to 11 degrees, maximum temperatures. Overnight lows 3 to 7, and over the next 7 days, the only day that looks properly dry is Saturday. Otherwise, you've got a lot of showers coming through, and obviously as the wet weather comes in, it builds up on the western side of those hills, so Mansfield could be getting some wet weather over the next week as well. That's all from me. Have yourselves a great rest of your day. We may be back tomorrow, Friday, with another video, and here's some good news. We're looking at extending our Australian videos. We're going to be making an effort to produce them almost daily over the next few weeks. We just want to trial it and see how it goes. So please like, support, subscribe, all that jazz, because the more viewers we get, the more likely we are to continue doing that as we go through the months ahead. That's all from me. We'll maybe seeing you tomorrow. If not, we'll see you again on Monday.